Welcome to Power of the Tribe podcast. My name is John Connors. I'm the host of this podcast. I'm also the founder and head instructor of Connors Martial Arts. We're located here in Norwood, Mass. We teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai kickboxing, and mixed martial arts. And I'm here with my co-host, Dan Robin. How you doing, Dan?
Good. How you doing, John?
Good. Dimitri was kind enough to get us new microphones and mic stands. Pretty good, huh?
Yeah, sounds good. We don't have to hold it down now.
Have you been traveling? That's the standard question.
Just in the mountains again. Just some peak bagging. You heard of peak bagging?
Peak what?
Peak bagging.
Peak bagging?
Yeah.
Is that something fraternities do?
Yeah. Well, it's a bushwhack to a peak bag. I think we've all been there.
Peak bagging. Wow. What is peak bagging?
Just hitting different peaks like.
Oh, you baggy. So you
bagging like.
Put them down in your book of accomplishments.
Yes.
Nice.
So there's things where it's like 48 4,000 footers, and you bag them like, and then you're like, okay.
48 where?
New Hampshire.
There's 48 in New Hampshire.
Over 4,000 feet. And
that's a lot.
And there's 35 over 3,500 in the Catskills, and so there's like these little, taps into that part of your brain of like doing lists where you're like, you want to check off the list. And
I think there's many fewer in Vermont, right?
Yeah.
Like 7 or something, right?
Much fewer. But people will do those too.
Do you have a goal? How many peaks you're going to bag?
so loosely, well, these things like to get the 48 4,000 footers and the 35 3,500. I'm almost there for most of them, but
awesome.
Yeah, I don't knock myself out to get it done.
Cool.
But I like going to the mountains just because I don't always climb mountains there. Sometimes it's just like being up there. I always describe it as like you waking up early and chopping wood, and then every now and then someone will be like, "But did you actually wake up early and chop wood?" I'm like, "No, I never actually woke up." It's just like that. It's just sort of like that.
I was going to say, getting up early and chopping wood, that sounds like a nightmare to me.
Yeah, but it's sort of, it's that vibe of like you're just doing chores.
Right. The only thing worse than getting up and chopping wood would be getting up early and raking leaves.
Yeah. We've talked about
I would
that.
jump off a mountain for that. Yeah.
Getting up early and jumping in the ocean.
And the air is clean and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're just away from everything too. Like Wi-Fi doesn't work, and your email doesn't work, and your phone doesn't work. So that's nice too.
Give the nervous system
some people
a break.
hate it.
Yeah.
The city people, they just hate being there and hate going there. But I like getting away from everything.
Something good about having a vista, seeing a long distance, right? That's really healthy for the mind. Right?
Yeah, on the top of these mountains, you look over miles and miles. I don't know why. I think there's people that see it and they're like, I have no idea why you'd want to do it. And then you can't explain it. But that's true of anything, right? That's like jiu-jitsu or MMA. Try explaining it to someone that's like, why would you do that? And they'll say, I don't know. I just like it. Right? Like you can't explain. I remember trying to explain to someone why I liked having a fish tank once. And
why did you like having a fish tank?
I don't know. I just would look at the fish. And it's sort of like, that's as much as I can explain it. And the people are like, well, why do you like looking at the fish?
Do you currently have a fish tank?
I don't.
No, you got over that, right?
Yeah, I'm over
That's something you get over, isn't it? You get a fish tank, and then you got to feed the fish. You got to clean the tank.
Yeah.
And after a while, you're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I've reached a point in my life trying to cut down on those kind of things.
Yeah.
Like responsibilities.
Right.
So I don't have one now, but yeah, I used to like having a fish tank. But I can't, any of these things, any hobby, it's like people, or for me, like I have friends that are like, I love to cook. I'll start at 3 and I'll have a dinner by 7:30. And I'm like, oh, that's the worst.
Right.
I just can't understand it. But
people ask me if I cook, and I live with my son, and we cook, but it's the most
pasta.
No,
not pasta.
What?
I don't know.
No, we throw steak in a skillet and some vegetables. It's like the most unadorned cooking. It's barely cooking. We're heating up food, basically.
Yeah. So you're with me. It's the same point, which is you can't explain to anyone why you like any sort of hobby or pastime. No, if they don't get it, you don't get it. So I don't try anymore.
Well, let's introduce our guest. He's back, Mr. Jesse McElligott. How you doing, Jess?
Good. Thanks for having me back, Coach.
He's one of our coaches, MMA fighter. Now, Jesse, let's talk about the pronunciation of your last name.
Mm-hmm.
I always call it McElligott, so
Yeah,
people understand it. Can you say it slightly different than that, or what do you think is the way to say it?
I think the official name, or the way to say the name is McElligott.
McElligott.
Like, if you're over in Ireland or Scotland, that's how they're going to pronounce it.
Okay.
But I've just kind of learned to go with the flow.
You
when it
must
comes
get
to
like
that.
100% mistranscription of your name, like misspelling of it,
My entire life,
mispronunciation.
yeah.
Like probably nobody ever gets it, right?
Oh, never. Like when they would line us up at the beginning of the school year to be like, "Oh, come," and the teachers would call you, they would be like, "Jesse," and then I'd hear them, and I would just start walking forward because I know this isn't gonna.
You
they're
probably
not
get
gonna
I get
it.
Robin wrong half the time. It's Robbins, and people that have known me
Robbins.
40 years will be like Robbins, and like in 40 years you never came up with my last name.
So there's no S on the in your
No,
last name.
there's one B. It's
Really?
just Robin.
I'm only kidding. Yeah.
You must get Connor.
I get everything.
Yeah.
We had this family that when I grew up lived down the street from us, Italian family, and we lived near them for decades.
Yeah.
And I would go by the house. They'd say, "Hey, O'Connor," and they had. I don't want to say their name because I don't want to be insulting, but they had a very unusual name that I've never heard before or since, and they didn't. I don't know if they were being provocative or they just didn't give it a shit. They didn't want to put the energy into actually learn her name. But yeah, I get O'Connor enough. But I guess it's close enough. It's all the same. We probably come from the same place. My brother Jimmy, he went and did that 23andMe or one of those nutty things. It's all the rage, and you can find out your ethnic heritage and this type of thing, And basically, he found out he's 97 point something percent, like some county in Ireland. It's
there's nothing interesting at all.
We are the most inbred people possible. It's unbelievable. Somehow we crawled there, 100,000 years ago and never left until very recently.
I had a similar experience where it was like, oh, did you all the commercials like I found out I'm 10%.
Right.
I had always heard growing up like you're half Irish and half kind of is Ukrainian, and like and then you look it up and it's like, yeah, that's what you are. Like it's just like you're half this
half Irish, half Ukrainian. You're Ukrainian.
Ukrainian Jewish.
Ukrainian. Yeah.
So it's sort of like, the thing just says that's exactly what you are.
You got half and half. Yeah, that's not that exciting.
Yeah, it's like
no Cherokee or anything?
Yeah, nothing.
God damn it.
There'll be like 2% or 1% Swedish or something. And
Right.
then people try,
Right.
like some people are like, oh. And I'm like, what's 2%? What's the difference?
Right.
It probably means nothing.
Yeah, what's the margin of error on those dopey things
exactly.
anyways? 8% probably, right? And McElligott, I love the jacket he has, Italia.
Yeah.
So even though he's got this Irish name, he's actually Italian.
Yeah, I'm like, I think like 5 or 6 different things.
They-
Italian,
Yeah,
Scottish, Hungarian, French, and maybe a little Indian. I don't know about that though.
They
But
might charge you double for your 23andMe.
yeah, yeah.
We also, I tell you that, so my brother did that, but he also did like a genealogy of our family. He went back, I don't know how many generations. And you know what we found?
No, what?
Nothing.
Yeah. No one ever, no accomplishments of any kind.
Nothing. You know how when you go to one of these psychics, you have a past life regression, you're always like a prince or,
it's
something
farmers.
exciting. Yeah.
That's me. It's all farmers.
Farmers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or farmers or just like peasants of some kind.
Yeah.
Up until like the 1900s, like not even like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It'd be like in 1910. Farmers, like,
One guy was assistant to the supervisor to the peasants,
yeah.
but that was just one generation. It
lost-
reverted
he
back
lost
to the mean.
job.
He bollocks that
But
thing
on the
up.
other side, so like if you're like, maybe, I don't know if you're one of these, but my wife's one of these like 10 different kinds of ethnicities, but it's like she can trace it back to the Mayflower, one of those like, oh,
So one of the threads
one
of
the
her
threads,
family.
or
Yeah.
one or two,
Yeah.
and that I always resent because I'm like, I thought those are the people that like were handed, like counties.
They
and-
got the
and
keys
islands
to
are
the
like,
kingdom.
oh, do you want Martha's Vineyard? It's yours. Like
Right.
in those days, like the Mayflower people are like, walk for 3 days, and whatever you walk is yours.
Is yours.
So all those people, that's old money. But apparently on that side,
They just
they
squandered
were
it.
like, I'll rent, like, just like walk for 3 days. Yeah. No
or maybe
thanks.
they did get all that, and they just
Or just
it just dwindled away
just
over the
lost it.
generations. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It just seems to not been a lot of accumulation.
Right. And so McElligott, Italian, Hungarian, Irish. What else did you say?
French.
French.
And a wee bit Native American.
How much? 1/1000th?
Probably. About that is what I would say, yeah.
Some great grandparent met and Native American.
Right.
Exactly.
So cool. So, Dan, the reason why I asked Jesse to come in is he recently had an MMA fight up in New Hampshire at Combat Zone and came away with a victory over a really tough fighter. So, I thought it would be exciting to have him in and talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know much about the fight. I saw a picture of your opponent. He looked like a tough guy.
Yeah, it was a very tough game opponent.
Yeah.
Much tougher than I was giving him credit for going into the fight.
That's tricky, right? When
yeah.
you're preparing for a fight, you want to feel confident and think you're going to dominate, but you don't want to make it seem too easy in your visualizations, right?
I think I had a good, even though I didn't think he was going to be as tough as he was, I still was prepared for him to be a tough guy. So I wasn't like, oh shit, why didn't he just wilt when I punched him in the face? I was ready to beat his ass the whole fight. So
he didn't wilt. He
out.
was in there scrapping the whole 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It was a long and arduous fight for sure. I thought it was interesting too. How much time did you have off?
3.5 years.
3.5. So Dan, he didn't do the 18-year break that I did, but he took but it's a tougher sport.
But that's a long break.
Yeah.
Because I remember active fighters saying, it's been even 6 months. They're like, I need a round to shake it off the rust,
Right.
So 3.5 years. I guess, I don't know. You tell me. Do people experience ring rust differently? Or
I've had a few, 2-year, I think I've had maybe 2-year breaks in between fights before this. And I'm always training. I'm always at the gym. We have the cage now, too. So, and I've kind of grown up doing it. Right. So I've been doing it since I was 15. So it's kind of just my thing. I didn't really feel, wasn't like I got.
Well, you fought on some big shows too, right? You fought
that too, yeah.
World Series of Fighting, right? The main event. So that's pretty big.
Yeah.
And then CES you fought at, and you never fought in Bellator though, did you?
No.
So,
not yet, anyways.
So I think the good thing about fighting in those big stages is it just gets you mentally and psychologically to that level. So when you do a more local show, not that this is a small show or anything, it's a more local show, it's less intimidating maybe than it would be otherwise.
Yeah. It wasn't. This might actually have been the least anxiety I've ever had for a fight. I was getting anxiety about not having anxiety about the fight. I didn't.
So why'd you come back now after 3.5 years?
I feel healthy finally. My shoulders feel good. My hips feel good finally. My knees feel good. And I just felt ready. I had some stuff I wanted to work on after the last fight, and I felt like I filled those gaps or whatever you want to call them in my game, and just ready to do some cool stuff.
Had you always felt like you'd come back eventually?
Oh, yeah. I knew it was just when I would come back. It wasn't like a if or it was just whenever the gods of fighting called me back into the cage.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you guys would know a lot better than me, but it's sort of almost good luck when an opponent signs up and shows up. It's almost like 50-50, just like for your big comeback to just be like, here's a guy. So credit to your opponent again. That is a guy who signed on the line and he showed up and he fought.
Yeah,
and it sounds like that's the minimum, but it seems like that you never know when that's going to happen, right?
Probably a third of all booked fights fall through.
That's a huge number.
Yeah,
I'm
only guessing. I don't know, but
say it's even roughly right.
Yeah.
I think I had a year where I had 5 guys drop out of a fight.
That's crazy.
I was scheduled to fight 4 or 5 times, and then I didn't fight at all that year. It was crazy.
Tricky,
yeah.
What do you think mostly happens? I mean, the first thought is like, oh, they're scared, but do you think it's probably not that simple?
No.
It's probably...
I think it's injuries and extenuating circumstances. Things come up.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe people think it's a great idea. They take a fight, and then they start training, and then they realize they're not up for it,
I think that's it a lot of times. People don't... Once they're in camp, they're like, oh, wait, this isn't I'm not...
This is freaking hard.
Yeah, this isn't like a movie, where I just do a 2-hour training montage and then go fight like a jackass.
Can we just do a montage?
Yeah.
This actual training is exhausting.
Yeah.
and painful.
Yeah, I think that weeds a lot of people out.
I think it's good that you did take a break. You know, I was listening to who's the guy that does the leg locks, fought in the UFC. My mind's going blank.
Paul Harris.
No, the American kid.
The
with
guy
beard.
in,
used to be with Lloyd Irvin way back in the day. You know, Ryan Hall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he won a fight against somebody. I thought he had a really effective strategy. And he had a great performance. I think he won by footlock or something. I don't remember how he won. But they said, are you going to jump right back in there? And he said, no. He wanted to go away and develop his game more and have something to show when he came back in.
Smart.
So, yeah. And plus, it's kind of the martial artist way.
Yeah.
You know, so I respected that. It's not the prize fighting way. I'm starting to see that big distinction between prize fighters and martial artists. You know, the prize fighters is just like, you know, how can we ring this cash register and make as much money as possible? Which
is fine too, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely. I wouldn't take that away from anybody. But then there's a martial artist who's trying to develop some skills and show places skills.
I think
that
Ryan
type of
Hall
thing.
signed to fight BJ Penn now, right? Did you know that?
Oh, I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
So
do you think
again,
about that, Dan?
I'm interested to see. You know, BJ was an unbeatable jiu-jitsu guy, and I wonder if it's still true. You know, or
Right.
Hall will have some tricks for him. I don't know.
I think Hall is going to handle it pretty easily. I don't know. What do you think, Coach?
I think so. I don't think BJ's in it. He's far past his prime, it seems.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the old school guys, like the
Right.
new school.
Yeah,
But,
it's like seeing Chuck fight now, or
yeah.
A little bit.
BJ's not that bad, but like, yeah, he might be.
That's
he
the
might
thing
not-
about
but
the
I still
sport
don't-
of MMA. It's still evolving,
Yeah.
you know, and it's still changing. So if you take 3.5 years off, oh, great, you can build yourself up. But guess what? The whole pool of competitors is getting better, too. Everybody's getting better.
Yeah,
The
especially
whole
at the-
sport's getting better.
Yeah, we've talked about. I mean, that's at the UFC level where the prize money's up and the athletes are better and everything's better, and they've been training their whole lives. Some of them now.
Yeah.
But we were saying even in the gym, in your opinion,
Mm.
again, you'd know better than me. Like a blue belt of today is going to be better than a blue belt from 1997, or
I think
that's
so.
generally
Yeah.
speaking. And I know there's people are going to say, "Oh, they were awesome blue belts back then," of course. But like, as a whole,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised because it makes sense. People have 20 more years to get better at training people and better at.
Yeah, and then the pool of athletes participating is much larger. So it's just
Yeah.
logical that you're gonna have better people today. You have more athletes, you have more outliers, and then like you said, there's more information available. You get great instructional videos online or whatever. You can purchase them, and there's just better and more information around. Yeah, and the teaching methods are stronger probably. Yeah. So I think people are way better. Yeah, my son has only been training as an adult really consistently. Trained a little bit as a kid, as a 12 or 13-year-old, but really not much at all. And then now he's been training for about 2.5 years, and holy cow, he's so good. He's way better than I was as a blue belt. He's basically how I was as a brown belt, I think. I mean, he's just so good. And technical, it's not just, but he's putting in all the time. He's putting in a lot of hours too. If you can invest a lot of time in your training and you're training intelligently and conscientiously, that adds up.
So we'll see. I'll be interested to see if like Ryan Hall, BJ Penn, if just this newer guy with newer jiu-jitsu, just if BJ looks old and slow and dated, or if it's like he's still good. I don't know.
When does that happen?
I heard about that a while ago, but I haven't heard
That's
a
right.
date
Yeah.
for it. So
thought
maybe
I
it's
saw
still
that.
up
Maybe
in
it'll
the
fall
air.
through the cracks. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, BJ hasn't looked good in his last couple of appearances, right?
No, I was trying
No.
new things. And, yeah, he looked dated.
Yeah. That's too bad. Now, Coach, did you find Dan and I had talked about this concept of the ego trap that I felt that I was in a bit, where people are thinking, I'm so good, I'm the head of the academy. So there's all this pressure to not lose. So one way to not lose is just to not compete. You know what I mean? That's the ego trap, is
Yeah.
when you just opt out of competing at all because you don't want to lose any of this, perceived esteem from people. And it's just a dangerous trap, because if you're not putting yourself out there, you're not really going to grow and develop and improve. Did you feel any of that pressure?
Maybe at a certain point,
Right.
but
But you seem pretty eager to get in there
Yeah,
and compete, so I guess he did it
more
probably, right?
recently, my biggest thing is was in my head. I was like, I'm going to prove to everybody how goddamn good I am, because it's been so long since I fought. that was a lot of my motivating
That's good.
factor.
Gives you a little chip on your shoulder.
I had a huge chip on my shoulder going out there. Yeah. So
well, you've always kind of had that,
Yeah.
right? I mean, not that you had a chip on your shoulder, but I think people see you and they don't see a six-pack maybe or something like this, so they underestimate
Yeah.
you.
Wasn't your opponent more jacked? And
Yeah, he's a
I
pretty
only
strong guy.
kind of barely looked at
This
him.
was
So I'm
actually
actually asking. I
this
don't
was
know.
actually the one time I had the six pack, and
Oh,
I
did
was
you?
I had the abs, and I was the bigger guy. It was because this was my first fight at middleweight, so I was the one who was the bigger guy and had the more defined body. He was
You look pretty
not-
formidable
he was-
at fight time.
he was,
Dan.
yeah.
Definitely.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I've always had a chip on my shoulder in that sense that I'm gonna prove to not all of you, but the world just how goddamn good I am. Because in my head, I'm the best fighter in the world.
Mm.
That's one of the reasons. Like when I lost to Dave Branch, I was so pissed. I was like, I thought I could beat John Jones right now, and then this guy just completely shattered my idea of what I was at the time. So
Well, actually, so I'm interested in that because I think there's always that balance that you have to walk, and you're walking it, which is I'm the best in the world, that motivation, that positivity. But then you have to, but the problem is people get shattered
yeah,
when they like we said Ronda Rousey seemed to be an example, right? Like
Mm.
then they lose and they're like, what happened? They'll be like, I spent 2 weeks. She said she thought about suicide. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's
It's
too
like
bad.
if you convince yourself, because the advice is convince yourself you can't lose.
yeah.
But then you have to be ready. Like you
Well,
can't
I
be
think
shattered if you do,
I think
you know?
she was playing that kind of Conor McGregor game, but without any kind of detachment. I think McGregor is sort of adept enough that he can play that game where he talks the talk and walks the walk. But when he loses, if you notice, he recovers pretty quickly
Yeah,
from his
it
losses.
seems like it.
You know what I mean?
Mentally, I mean.
Yeah, psychologically, which is a pretty impressive characteristic, right? That he can bounce back like that and not go the way that Ronda went.
Right.
I think she just bought into it. You know what I mean? She was like she started believing the whole cult message that was put out there. You know,
That
she's
she
like
couldn't
those
lose
no-touch guys that actually get in a real fight and get clocked, get
Yeah,
punched
man.
in the face, and they go
Right, because
like,
if you remember with Ronda for a while, they were like, she can outbox anyone.
it got
You know,
crazy,
got,
right?
and-
She could beat Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, it was kind of
I
silly.
think somebody
Yeah.
said Cain Velasquez too
So
at some
silly.
point, some craziness.
Yeah, it was getting out of control. So,
Yeah.
but so for you, did you like when you lost to Dave Branch? Were you like, did you have any element of that where you were like, what, like really shocked and?
I was super shocked because I thought I was gonna beat him,
Yeah.
beat his ass. I thought I was just gonna rout him, but just more pissed off and more eager to train. I was like, I just have to get better, because I know I can keep improving. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like, oh my god, I suck. There was a little bit of that, but I was like, I'll just keep getting better, and eventually I'll be good enough to beat that bastard.
Because I've heard that before for other fighters. That for me it was like Kenny Florian fought Sean Shirk and he just couldn't stop the wrestling. He said he took it as like the value in it is seeing that level and being like, that's what I have to get to where I can stop that. So I wonder if you felt that at all with David Branch too, where you felt like, okay, that's what I have to deal with to get to the highest level. Like that's what the highest level feels like. You know what I mean? Like, so now you know what that feels
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, after that fight, because up until I got put out with the choke, he wasn't like beating my ass or anything, so I wasn't super
Yeah, you didn't get
down.
really beat
Yeah.
up or anything. Yeah.
I just zigged when I should have zagged into a head kick, and then my legs weren't there anymore. But yeah, it just motivated me more. Like the Pat Walsh fight, my last one in 2015, he just dominated me with wrestling for 15 minutes, and it pissed me off. So I was like, I have to be able to do that to somebody else. So it just
That's interesting.
motivated
So
me.
I think what happens, Dan, is when you go into a camp, you undertake a challenge like this. The preparation, if you prepare right, it changes you and it makes you you're a better version of yourself. And then whatever the consequences of the fight are, win or lose, you can also use that as a springboard to become a better version of yourself. Move toward the best version of yourself. So he said, I got to become a better wrestler, or I have to do this, or I have to do that. I think some of Ronda's challenges was she was getting these easy wins, which she was blowing people out. So then there's probably less impetus to improve, or you think you're already at your best version of yourself. Yeah. I just won in 30 seconds. What the hell else do I have to do? Very interesting. I was listening to Jordan Peterson on the Joe Rogan podcast this morning, and he was talking about. Were you listening to that?
Yeah.
Sort of like when you undergo these challenges, you're not only changing yourself psychologically, you're almost changing yourself on an evolutionary level, like a genetic level, by going out there and having experiences and challenges and having to respond to the challenge. And I thought it was an interesting way to look at things, right? Where if our ultimate, you could say the ultimate goal of a person is become the best version of themselves. So basically, Peterson was saying the only way you can become the best version of yourself is to get out there and suffer and put yourself on the line of fire and have really tough, challenging experiences, it's kind of like Craig Lewin doing
swimming in the ocean,
the Catalina swim. It was like an 11-hour swim. How far was that again? Dan, do you remember how far that? 20 miles or something? Must be 20-mile ocean swim.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So all the preparation to do that, you got to become a different person, and then just doing the experience, you must just be a different person after that. Have to be, right?
Yeah, and again, that's so much suffering. Just the cold alone, right? He said couldn't stop
just
shivering.
Just the cold alone.
1 hour into the 10-hour swim or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You must get so used to suffering that you can shrug off the little things in life. You know what I mean? Like
your baseline of what suffering actually is must move dramatically, right?
Yeah, and that's true of MMA training too, right?
Yeah.
Where everyone talks about this for very beginning of jiu-jitsu when you first start, and one way to open the guard is so to get someone to comply, you jam your elbow into their knee or into
their
and
thigh.
When you first start, it's
unbearable
unbearable pain, and you have to move your leg because you can't stand the pain of the elbow and the thigh. And then after a few months, everyone has the same experience where that same elbow and the thigh, it just doesn't bother you. It just kind of annoys you. Or we talked about some people have these fighting with pressure points.
Right.
And so John and I have actually been to a gym where they use the pressure points in the roll. But any jiu-jitsu guy just doesn't care. They just kind of stick their thumb in your neck or something and they grind it in, and you're just kind of annoyed.
Yeah.
It's just kind of
I tell you, after
it's just
several years
it doesn't do anything.
I don't even find it irritating. It's vaguely pleasant. It's like a massage. I mean, after
tissue.
Right? Yeah. After you grapple for so many years, that stuff doesn't even work. It doesn't work at all. Yeah. It's completely useless for the most part. Yeah.
So at the most abstract level, this is what we're talking about, right? You just more and more unpleasantness in your life, you get adapted to it, right? It doesn't,
definitely.
Physical or mental.
Definitely, yeah.
I can't do the cold showers now that you said, but that's an example, right? Where I assume if I just kept
I did a
doing
cold shower this morning, yeah.
Does that mean literally no, just all cold
What I do
water?
is I take my shower, Dan, and here's a good way for you to do it. Start with 30 seconds. So then I have a little timer on my phone. For now I'm at 2 minutes and 15 seconds. That's all I do. And I turn that on, and then I turn the water to all the way to cold. And
you just sit there looking cool, or are you screaming and hopping around?
I don't scream and hop around.
Okay.
No. Basically,
can I start with screaming and hopping around?
It takes me one breath, and then I imagine that the cold water is actually warming me, and then it doesn't seem to be that unpleasant. Yeah.
I've actually noticed when I've done it, the water kind of starts to feel warm after a while, right? It does.
Well, I use my imagination for that, and then it starts to feel that. I don't know if it's completely a placebo effect or what, but it does start to feel warmer. So then what I'll do is, we're going to compete December 15th. I'll start upping it every day, and then by the time I'm competing, I want to do a 6-minute cold shower or something like that. That's what I do. But yeah, you adapt really quickly to it. I think the key is doing that. Start with a very small piece that is tolerable, and then just add on to that, and your body adapts. I was listening.
In a small period of time.
Yeah, do 15 seconds, 30 seconds, and then Start doing it every day, and then add 15 seconds a clip. You'll be doing 5 minutes before you know it. It's supposed to have some real health benefits. Wim Hof was saying, I was listening to him on somebody's podcast just recently, that there's these, it helps your cardiovascular system. So like there's all these like sort of primitive muscles in your cardiovascular system that when you live in our sort of HVAC system where it's always 72 degrees, those things start shutting down. So you're not as healthy cardiovascularly because of that. But when you do the cold like that, they start to activate them and they expand your capillaries and blah, 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 and so forth. So
I mean, I could easily believe that being true, but I could easily believe it being nonsense too, right? Like,
right.
Let's see.
I can't prove it, but it feels like it's probably true.
Yeah, and again, it's, if nothing else, it's mentally. I mean, right now I'm in a place where I'm like tapping the temperature. You know, I'm like, it's not quite right. Like I like
your thermostat at your house.
Yeah, no, like the shower.
Oh, the shower.
Like if it's like 1 degree off, I'm like, ow. Like,
can't bear it.
Like I can't bear it. It needs to be at like exactly here. And then if it's like right here, I'm like, oh, that's hot, and like tapping it. So probably mentally it'd be good for me to like expand that a little bit.
Probably,
Start maybe 5 degrees in either direction. And you're saying I need to sit there looking cool, right? Like the whole thing is ruined if I'm like screaming and jumping around. And
I think you can do whatever you want, Dan, but I don't do that. No. Yeah.
All right, I'll try it.
But it usually takes. It's very funny because when I talk to you about Wim Hof, you know, I do the Wim Hof breathing pretty much every day. Dan said, you know, I think the whole cold thing, it's just another way to get you to breathe a certain way. That was your theory, right? In that interview, that's basically what Wim Hof said.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He goes, well, I figured out I had to breathe a certain way when I was in the cold, so it's kind of but I think it also has this other thing about the capillaries in your cardiovascular system. But he did say that.
It's got to be, also, like we keep saying, like adapting to discomfort too.
Right.
But I was saying, Jesse, that when I go out, I was thinking about I'd just be out in the winter, like take my dogs out. And if it's really freezing and I go out without my coat, it's really, and you're like trying to adjust, you adjust your breathing. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing else to adjust. If you have no jacket, you're just sort of like, all right, like calming yourself down to using your breathing to adjust to the cold. So
I think I wonder if what happens is if you shiver, that's one sort of primitive way to warm your body up, just shivering. And, you know, if you really start breathing, hyperventilating, maybe that warms you up. But if you suppress those two things, your body activates some other method to warm it up. Because that's what seems to happen in the cold shower. Like I first get a breath, and then I shut my breathing down to a really normal, seems normal type of breathing, and you can withstand the cold. I don't know.
And are you always, because I always say that for me, there's times I just feel really rugged. Like you could be out in the winter, like with no shirt on, just like laughing, feeling real hardy. And other times you're like the opposite. You're just like
no, I hear you. There's occasionally where I don't feel like, I feel like there may be a cold coming on, and I feel that little chill in my bones to begin with in a day. You know what I mean? And then I don't do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm picturing.
Yeah, I kind of pull back.
I'm like, I am not getting in a cold shower right now. You know.
I think that's smart. I think, when you stress the system can respond and grow, but you can easily overstress any system, right? So you got to find that right thing where we're stressing and challenging ourselves, but not overstressing. So definitely, yeah.
So what happened in your fight, Jesse? Like, John knows, but I don't really. I know you won, but
I put a wrestling clinic on pretty much. I did more or less. I didn't get beat up as bad in my fight against Pat, but I just beat his ass. I think I got my first takedown in 10 seconds.
I think so.
And then I took him down and punched his face up a bunch. Round ended, and then I just kept doing that till the fight was over. I cut him with an elbow, I think in the second round or so.
That sounds right, yeah.
But yeah, I implemented everything we've been training the past 3 years.
That's what was rewarding for sure. Yeah.
I did everything, like I said, everything we've been training, everything I said I was going to do. I said to Coach right before we went out, I'm going to walk through anything he throws, pick him up, and slam him on his stupid head. And that's exactly what I did.
And do you feel like you so to put it together, it's like Pat Walsh fight that he out wrestled you, and you wanted to wrestle this fight.
Yeah, that was yeah, I wasn't too interested in doing any stand up this particular fight. Obviously, I like to punch people in the face, so if I had to, I would have. But yeah, I had my goal. I was kind of like a pit bull. Like I would get his leg and I wouldn't let go till he was on his back. And then I worked all the wrestling rides we've been working in class, very Habib-esque. Some guy actually came up to me after the fight because I was wearing the papaka like Habib.
Got the beard.
And he was like, Assalamu alaikum, brother. You from Dagestan? I was like,
that's a great compliment, though.
Yeah, I was like, no, thank you. Kind of. Hungarian are mountain people too, so close enough. But yeah, I was very pleased with being able to show the growth in my skills. I've won with jiu-jitsu before, or most of my fights I've won with, using my jiu-jitsu, taking them down, submitting them, are the ones I've like knocked that guy down when we were in downtown, hit him with a straight left, put him on his ass. And now this time I got to show all the stuff I've been working. It was very satisfying.
Yeah, and I think his takedowns were pretty effective. His success rate was very high. I don't know exactly what it was, but the guy was defending well, but Jesse had good technique, and he was scoring his takedowns, and the guy was persisting, trying to get up, and he'd either take him down again or use sort of a wrestling ride to keep him down.
Got his
back control a couple of times.
He was a game opponent, right?
Oh yeah,
very game.
Yeah. He was well prepared.
Yeah,
he was fully expecting to win for sure.
Yeah,
and like I said, he didn't. It was a grueling fight. I mean, it was exhausting, and the guy was fighting the whole way pretty much.
That's good for you too, right? To test your cardio. And
yeah, yeah, it was
15
good.
minutes.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Cause
I actually had a funny feeling. Like, so here's my interpretation or memory of the fight. Jesse came out like he said. The guy threw a really hard inside leg kick that just sounded like it hurt like hell, and then Jesse came forward with a few jabs, backed him against the cage, took him down, and then for most of the round was on top of the guy. And the guy was defending good. The guy had a really good guard, so when he was on the bottom, he moved really well. We knew he was sort of dangerous there, like arm bars and things like this, so we wanted to be careful. But then the guy at some point got up and got Jesse in a guillotine, standing guillotine, and put Jesse against the cage, and then Jesse spun off the cage and got out of the guillotine, but then the guy put together pretty effective combinations, you know what I mean, because the round was ending, and then the round ended. And actually, I think one of the judges gave that guy the round.
Stole the round for...
Yeah, and but it was good for him, the opponent, to finish the round that way, because he kind of got a little bit of momentum on his side, you know what I mean, because, it's interesting because Jesse, basically everything went according to the game plan, but the guy was still in there fighting. So now you got to take it to the next level. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like a person could get discouraged at that point and go, geez, I did what we said we're going to do, and now the guy's flurrying at me at the end of the round. What the hell's going on? But Jesse responded really well in the second and third round, and he had a great second round where that really wasn't close. And then after that round, I felt really optimistic. I knew that we were in good shape to win the fight, and then he had a solid third round too, where he just was on top of the guy pretty much the whole round. Yeah,
I noticed my past fight experience really helped me through that fight. So like when he had me in the guillotine in the Pat fight, he had me in a guillotine too, and I thought he was going to break my neck. So then when Ray got me in, I was like, oh, I know what to do here. This isn't a big deal, really. And then I got out. And then in this first round, too, he hit me with an up kick to the stomach, which hurt like a son of a bitch. My stomach still hurts a little bit, or the muscle. But that happened to me in my first pro fight, too. And I remember going back to the corner in my first professional fight, being like, I don't want to go back out there now. That hurt too bad. But this fight, I was like, all right, just fucking deal with it. Got 2 more rounds, beat his ass, and we'll keep going.
So that speaks to what we were talking about, Dan, where you have these experiences, these challenges, and you change yourself. You become closer to the best version of yourself. And what Jordan Peterson, I think, was saying, that you can't become the best version of yourself unless you're out there taking these challenges and undergoing these sort of the suffering and whatnot.
Yeah, I like to use one of the phrases I like to use is, there's Dan Cormier's whole embrace the grind. I like
Mhm.
better embrace the suffering.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
like-
what's the distinction between those?
It's just maybe the word,
Right.
because it means the same thing. But to me, for some reason, the embrace the suffering, I don't know, it just captures my imagination better.
Right.
Because
It's more emotionally impactful, maybe.
Yeah,
than
the grind
right?
just-
You can
Nah.
picture grind being something that you're almost
Yeah.
enjoying, like you're just grind could be showing up at the gym
Yeah.
and rolling, and like
Or it's
this-
also like somebody working in a cubicle might say that.
Yeah.
I'm doing the
Yeah.
grind as they're
Right.
tapping away on their
yeah,
keyboard.
it's like, no, I'm gonna go into feeling like that's my domain. I am comfortable feeling like absolute crap.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I've been doing this weekly hill workout that is intense and it doesn't feel good to do. I do it every Sunday now, preparing for this jiu-jitsu tournament. And I was talking to John Parson. So John Parson is a guy that used to train with us jiu-jitsu. He moved away, but he was a very successful college running athlete, I think. And he gave me some tips about doing this hill workout I was doing, like sort of technical way to run up the hill that be effective. And it helped me. And then he said, he had a coach that he had a lot of respect for, and the coach said, don't look at hills as something agonizing. Look at them as an opportunity to get stronger, faster, lighter, whatever. And I kind of like that because I was into the whole embrace the suffering and grind too, but it starts to weigh on you. If every Sunday I know I'm going to go suffer, it's hard to do that. So now I picked up this other idea of like, what's the opportunity in the suffering? So I put a little bit more emphasis on the opportunity and a little less on the suffering. And that's helped me. It helped me in my jiu-jitsu training this week too. As I come in, I'm like, okay, I'm going to roll with Jesse. What's the opportunity here? Pretty much what's the opportunity to learn? What am I going to learn in that scenario? But it could be in one of these grueling workouts, I have an opportunity to get stronger physically or mentally or whatever,
Right.
So maybe try that, see how
That's
that works
good.
for you too.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dan? Do you like the opportunities? Do you like to embrace the grind or embrace the suffering?
Yeah, or neither. But I guess the alternative, I guess what you're saying is like, some people don't, but then you just kind of, if you shrink away from all of it. I mean, the extreme example would be someone that's like housebound, right? Like they're like, social interaction is awkward, dealing with people are rude out there, people cut me off in traffic. And so the extreme example is someone that's like, I'm not dealing with any of it, right? And they like sit at home, and you know what I mean? Like to take
Yeah.
it to the extreme, like I'm just safe here at home. No one's going to bother me. I'm not going to have any awkward interactions. So I guess that's the theme, right? Like you have to get out there, just have this unpleasantness and
I think so.
awkwardness, because sometimes it's easy to not do it. We've talked about it before. It's easy to not do it. It's easy
Yeah.
to feel like it's fine to just, I'm going to watch Netflix. And
I think so. I think there's no
Yeah.
such thing as
and no one's gonna bother
stasis
me.
either.
I'm not gonna be-
Yeah.
You're never staying the same. You know what I mean? You're either getting weaker and smaller or bigger and stronger, right? You're never just completely maintaining, right?
Yeah. And the other thing, though, is the motivation, right? Like, I think a lot of people, and I'm guilty of it too, and I guess we're all guilty of it at different levels, but you wait for the motivation to do it, right? Like someone has a heart attack and then goes, oh, now I better quit smoking. Or like, or,
A doctor tells you, like, if you don't do this.
cholesterol is, and then you're like, oh, now I better eat healthy, or now I better get to the gym. And I guess another thing, the show's brought up before on this podcast, where you're like, just do it now, don't wait till the last, until you're doing it under duress, you're doing it because you're being threatened or, something has gone wrong, to chase it.
Right.
So I guess for me, it means the cold shower, right? I'll report next podcast.
So next podcast, you're going to tell us about cold showers.
Yeah.
All right.
So now I'm locked in.
You're locked in. You got
Well, I'm
some
sort of
pressure.
locked in.
Peer
Okay.
pressure.
Show up and be like, I didn't do it. But
You could. You could say you tried it once and it's
like,
stupid.
well, what do you mean by cold? I'll be like, well, it was a little cold.
Lukewarm shower.
Lukewarm. Yeah, I can start with a lukewarm.
Don't put it over your head, by the way. You don't want the cold water on your head. Just
Really?
like, yeah, really.
Is that true?
I think that's true. I think that's what Wim Hof says. Yeah, he said put it on
really?
like your back and your chest and everything. I don't think you're supposed to put it on your head.
Oh.
Yeah,
Why is that?
for some reason I'm not sure, Dan, but yeah.
Sure.
Look, I'm saving you your head. What are you complaining about?
Yeah, I'll
man?
take it.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
and we'll look that up. We'll look that up for next week. We'll find out why you shouldn't put your head under the
All
cold.
right, and then a few podcasts from now, I'll be in I'll be cutting the hole in the ice and
Right, sitting in
dropping
the ice.
myself in. Yeah.
Yeah, Craig was doing 45 minutes in a bucket of ice water. That's I can't imagine doing that. Never mind swimming
Well,
the
this is another
Catalina
thing.
Channel.
It's easy to kind of look at it and picture being like, "Ooh, ha ha ha, this is cold." Like you see people laughing but like it really hurts. I think it's hard to picture real suffering. Like you always picture you could do it. It's sort of like people picturing fighting in the octagon or fighting in the ring and being like, I could do it. And it's like, it's easy to say you do it. It's sort of like people look at fighters and be like, I can't believe he quit. I'd never quit. It's like some guy sitting on the couch eating potato chips. Like, I would never quit. It's like,
I've never quit eating this bag of potato chips. So.
It's easy to say you've never quit, but you're not in there with someone hitting you. Like,
yeah.
So.
Well, I'll tell you, I had a lot of admiration and respect for the way that Jesse fought this last fight, because even though he won the fight, like I said, it was a grueling fight. And there was a lot of times when I was watching it where it would have been perfectly reasonable for somebody to go, all right, I had enough. I'm done. And they could have quit, and he didn't. He chose to keep going and to put it on the guy, not even to like just protect himself. That's where a lot of MMA fights really end, was when the guy stops thinking about any firing back and just starts covering. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and it sounds like his opponent too. Again,
his opponent too was a tough guy. Yeah.
Same
He's a
thing.
very tough guy.
Yeah. Yeah. He never
Ballsy
folded up.
dude.
Yeah. I think at the very end, Jesse had back control for I don't know how much of the last round.
Seemed like the whole round, or
But
pretty close.
But near
to
like the last
yeah.
30 seconds, I think he could see the handwriting on the wall a little bit, maybe. But yeah, he was in there to the end. Yeah,
I was
very
pulling
tough.
the Chad Lightfoot on him too. I was when I had the double underhooks, I was grabbing his mouth.
Oh,
and
nice.
nose so I was trying to give him every reason to quit the third round, but he didn't. He kept moving. He had plenty, like you said too. He had plenty of opportunities. The ref was telling him, "Move or I'm gonna stop the fight."
right. It almost got stopped.
Still.
Yeah.
It almost got stopped. Right.
Yeah.
The ref said that I think a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the third round,
Yeah.
and then the guy would do just enough to keep the fight going. But it was a great win. I was so happy for Jess to get the win and to execute his game plan. And he had a great, I have some T-shirts that I just made, but they've been in the making. No, I've had these shirts in the making for a long time. But I think because I'm training for this tournament, as you noticed, I am just like disorganized. I'm just not effective. I'm singularly focused, so things aren't getting done. But these shirts were in the planning for a long time. But the back of the shirt says, "Prepare right, fight right," and that's exactly what he did. He prepared right, and then he went in there and he fought the right way. Yeah. And if we do that, we're going to move toward the best version of ourselves. That's what we want. We can't control all outcomes, but we can control those things. And it's not easy, but he definitely did it.
But what do you think's next, Jesse? Like two things. One is, are there things, just to keep what we're talking about, are that you're working on? And then do you have plans to fight again?
As far as working on, just keep getting better at everything. Become the best wrestler I can, the best striker I can. Get even better at my jiu-jitsu. Just keep getting
Well, I'll tell you,
better at
Dan, I
everything.
also admire Jess for this, because after the fight, he basically asked for criticism almost immediately about how he could have done something better. And there was a couple of very minor technical things that I pointed out to him that he could have done a little bit better. And he was completely open to it.
Right. Some people don't want to hear it. Right?
They don't want to hear anything. Yeah.
Some people want. I feel like some people ask that question for the other person to be like, "No, you did perfect. You don't need to do anything better."
Yeah, they're
But
fishing for a compliment.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how. Is that what you meant? When
no, it's kind of a blessing and a curse, because I'm never satisfied. Like all I see when I watch the video is all the things I perceive I did wrong. I obviously enjoy the win, but I could have done better. I think
we're lucky, Dan. I think Jesse and I have a really good relationship where we trust each other. So he actually made an adaptation in the fight. So there was a point where he was getting behind his opponent, but he wasn't aggressively putting his hooks in. And then I said to him, listen, just throw your hooks in as quick as you can. As soon as you have the opportunity, you're being a little too conservative. And and he took that advice immediately, and that really probably made the difference in the fight. You know what I mean? Because then he's got both hooks in. Now the guys get to get the hell out of that. That's not easy. And before that, he was being a little conservative, like he didn't want to lose position. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of people have trouble making those adjustments too in mid-fight. You know what I mean? So I was impressed by that.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely, I want to fight as soon as possible. January is the ideal.
Ideally, we get something in January, Dan, on the Cage Titans. We have the guys coming back to finish the film, and that'll probably be the last thing that they're shooting for our documentary.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be awesome.
And then, because I think maybe people do know this, but maybe not, but that it can be hard to just even find someone to fight sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like even if you want to fight,
Right.
Yeah.
you have to ask around and you have to try to get someone that'll fight you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have to be your weight, and then they have to be comparable somewhat in skill.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully, I'm planning on we'll have somebody for what is it, January 26th?
I think it's January 26th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
it'll
my
be go
birthday.
time again.
Oh,
is it?
I've had so many birthdays at Cage Titans. Yeah. Definitely.
That's awesome. So yeah, I'm excited.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else you want to add, Dan, or any questions?
Nope.
Anything you have, Coach? Folks, if you want private lessons in Muay Thai kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, or mixed martial arts, Coach Jesse is available. He's very flexible. I'm sure we can find a time to fit you in. And it's right here in Norwood at Connors Martial Arts. And you can reach him probably on Instagram or Facebook.
Yep.
And you can reach me. We're at Connors, CONNORSMA, martialarts.com. And yeah, if you want to learn some martial arts, become a badass, make a positive change in your life, give us a call, reach out to us, and we'll help you. So thanks for listening. Please subscribe to this podcast, share it, tell your friends about it, and listen again next week. Thanks so much.
Thanks.